Dzień dobry Państwu. Bardzo mi miło Państwa powitać na kolejnym webinarium Fundacji Konkurencyjności. Dzisiaj będziemy mieli możliwość porozmawiania o eksporcie zarówno do Włoch, jak i eksporcie widzianym z perspektywy włoskiej. Naszym gościem, którego serdecznie witam, jest pan Giorgio Oggero, wieloletni ekspert Turyńskiej Izby Handlowej, konsultant i menedżer do spraw eksportu, który podzieli się z nami doświadczeniem z ponad 30 lat pracy na rynkach zarówno włoskich, jak i międzynarodowych. A webinarium będę miał przyjemność prowadzić z panem Andrzejem Szewczykiem, głównym ekspertem Fundacji Konkurencyjności. Dzień dobry.
Dzień dobry, witam Państwa.
Wraz z naszym ekspertem zastanowimy się nad prowadzeniem eksportu z punktu widzenia doświadczeń włoskich przedsiębiorców. Pokażemy te doświadczenia, które zostały wypracowane przez setki lat tradycji kupieckich, w których, co nie jest tajemnicą, Włosi są mistrzami w skali globu. Do wyboru właśnie Włoch skłania nas również współczesność. Pomimo zeszłorocznego zmniejszenia obrotów handlowych, Włochy pozostają nadal piątym partnerem Polski pod względem eksportu i trzecim partnerem wśród partnerów w imporcie. Nasze obroty handlowe w 2020 roku pandemii, były nadal imponujące i przekroczyły 21 miliardów euro. Wymianę handlową z Włochami charakteryzuje przy tym stosunkowo niski, ale jednak ujemny bilans handlowy, który w 2019 roku wyniósł dla Polski 856 milionów euro. A przyjrzyjmy się temu nieco bliżej. W grupach towarowych wymiana wygląda następująco. Do Włoch eksportujemy głównie samochody osobowe, części i akcesoria samochodów, aparaturę odbiorczą dla telewizji, papierosy. Z Włoch z kolei importujemy platynę w stanie surowym, części akcesoria samochodów, samochody ciężarowe oraz leki. Jak widać z tego zestawienia, na naszą wymianę handlową bardzo silnie wpływa włoski przemysł, który zainwestował w Polsce. Faktycznie według danych NBP wartość włoskiego kapitału zainwestowanego w 2019 roku w Polsce wyniosła ponad 5 miliardów euro, a na koniec 2019 roku funkcjonowało w Polsce ponad 1500 podmiotów z udziałem włoskiego kapitału. Wśród obecnych w Polsce włoskich przedsiębiorstw należy wymienić tak graczy globalnych jak Stellantis, producenta samochodów Fiat, koncern obronny Leonardo, producent alkoholi Bacardi Martini, czy też znany wszystkim konsumentom producent Zero. Dzisiaj jest naszym gościem, zastanowimy się, jak szukać możliwości na rynku włoskim oraz jakie doświadczenia mogą nam przekazać włoscy przedsiębiorcy. Dear Mr. Gerald, good morning. It's a pleasure to have you here today.
Good morning.
Good morning. You are a long-standing export manager of Italian companies, and you also work with one of the largest Italian chambers of commerce, which is based in Turin. Therefore, I would like to ask you, what are the most advisable schemes to start an export business in Italy?
Okay, thank you very much. Unfortunately, the line here today is not very good, so I don't understand at all what you are saying. Not because of Polish, because I don't understand Polish, unfortunately, because of the technical aspect. If I understood properly, you asked me the skills necessary for the Polish company to enter in the Italian market. If I have understood properly your question, and it's correct. Is it correct?
Indeed.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you. I think Italy is a very interesting market, to be honest, because it's a very good market for any kind of sector. It's open mind. The customers are open mind. When I think about customers, I mean companies and end users. The skills that are necessary for a Polish company is to understand the different kind of having the instruments to understand the different kind of mentalities present into this country. When I've been a manager for an American company in Europe, I was responsible for Italy country, and it was funny because my colleague of France or Spanish or other countries talk about their market as a unique place, a unique marketplace. Italy is divided along a lot of different places in order of mentality, in order of market requirements and market compliance to be respected to have success. For instance, the northwest part of Italy is completely different from the northeast part of Italy. The central part of Italy is completely different from the north part and the south part of the nation. It's funny because when I talked about my country, I had to say, okay, the market is in northwest is in this way, in central part in this way. So I know that's difficult to understand, but geographically we are put exactly in the middle between Europe and Africa, and there is a very interesting position because if you go as I did with my English or American colleague in south of Italy, and then the same day we took an aircraft to go in the north part of Italy. They were astonished because we went on the beach in Palermo in Sicily, and after 1 hour and a half we were in the mountain in Trentino Alto Adige within the snow. And the mentality is completely the opposite between this kind of scenario. So it's I think that the most important skill for any kind of company that want to enter in Italy is to understand this differentiation that we have in terms of mentality as first step to enter in our country. Because I mean, one commercial action that can be useful, can be interesting for northeast part of Italy, can be completely wrong for the south part of Italy. And that must be clear, even if we are talking about 1,000 kilometers, 1,500 kilometers, no more. But I managed directly Italy for many, many years. And one commercial action, I had a huge success in Rome, for instance, the capital of Italy, was completely failed in Milano. 600 kilometers, a completely different mentality in terms of, commercial. So the first skill I think that a company must have to enter successfully in in our country is market analysis made in a very good way, very precise way, with maybe a local partner. It could be the best, but market analysis is the first instrument that any company must use to enter in our country.
Thank you very much for your enlightening answer. And I would like to share with you one thought. The pandemic is changing the way we trade. And we have consulted an analysis conducted by PwC that shows that in 2026, the gross value of Polish commerce will be at the level of 162 billion of Polish zlotys. Means an average annual growth of 12%. How is the Italian distribution changing? Um, what is the future of distribution channels in Italy? And how our potential viewers can promote their products in Italy? This is the most important second step after entering the market. How to promote in Italy?
Yeah. Yeah, yeah. Of course, the COVID changed a lot of things in this country, in this market, all around the globe. Of course, um, I think that the scenario that we have now is in an ongoing definition because the pandemic is not yet finished at all. We have quite in a better situation in terms of numbers. We have a generalistic rebound in terms of production and sales, internal and external. So we have the situation is better a lot in comparison with last year, for instance, when we had really a total stop of the activities. In terms of distribution, I think this pandemic was sort of a change, and not all in negative aspect. I mean, in Italy we have an increasing of the gross distribution channel for many sectors. Of course, depend by the sector of the company. But for instance, if we're talking about consumer products, in Italy we had a huge increase of the gross distribution channel. From last year to this year, we had the presence of brand new market, of supermarket, hypermarket, medium market that we had not until last year. I mean, the the need of the people to have goods very close to their home increased the growth distribution in our country. In the meantime, before the COVID, started one new need of the customer to have niche products, even if the product, the Italian product, is extremely traditional. I think about food, for instance. We have the possibility to receive a lot of products from abroad, even in a specific sector shop, specific chain that can be used by the abroad companies. Because, as I told you at the beginning, the Italian people, the Italian companies are really open-minded in terms of the cooperation or the partnership with the abroad companies, abroad suppliers. Um, COVID made a sort of selection, unfortunately, because of financial aspect of the life, as all around the globe, of course. And for instance, the distribution now is divided, I think, in three big channels. One is the contact, the direct contact with the companies, as before the COVID. The growth channel, the growth distribution channel, and the niche channel. I mean, the niche channel, for instance, for any kind of even retail channel, retail shop, where there are sold specific products, especially from abroad. For instance, we have a product from US, from China, of course, for the consumer products, but even from many other countries, many other products that come from different countries. Of course, if we're talking about China, for instance, in Italy, the quality is requested a lot. But after the COVID, the relationship between quality and cost are even more important than before the outbreak. Because the capacity to spend, especially for the end user, are reduced because of the financial situation we have now in our country because of the COVID. And so the cost depend. It's not the most important thing, but it's more important than before the COVID-19. So I think that if we're talking about the distribution or channels that are important to come into our country in a profitable way, I think it's important to work with a local agent, a local partner that can help the abroad company to let me say, follow the right road in this country. Before the COVID was divided because of let me say mentality, history, culture, or something like that, with different financing aspects to be faced by the abroad company. After the COVID, we have to face even the consequences of the outbreak that are different from the area in Italy. To give you an idea, now we have quite the 60% of the people that vaccinated, but in some part of Italy, only the 10%, 20% are vaccinated. The rest part of the population is not vaccinated. So again, the mentality differences are extremely important to enter in our country, in our market. Let me say, what I suggest. And what I think it's important to have clear in mind, few seconds we have to talk about, is that the market to enter in Italy is divided in three big channels. depending by the sector of the company, of the broad company that want to enter in our country. A company, of course, can get in touch directly with any Italian company without any kind of restriction, of course. What is necessary, I think, is to have an help by a local partner to get in touch with the right company. When I say right company, I mean reliable in terms of financial aspect, reliable in terms of COVID aspect, reliable in terms of capacity to enter in the area of the customer, because it's just a bit more difficult to be understood by a foreigner reality. So 3 channels with 3 different features, but very open mind, but with some difficulties in terms of the typical characteristic of the Italian market.
Thank you, Mr. Oggero. Indeed, it was very interesting, and I think that we have received from you a very interesting bunch of information about the Italian market and how to do and how to relate with Italian companies. So maybe it will be interesting now to see a broader picture, and I would like to ask Andrzej to introduce the second round of our questions, which will be more about the world and how Italians are dealing with the world. Andrzej, the floor is yours.
So, Mr. Oggero, you have also mentioned about Italian experience regarding the export activity in case of Italian companies, and this could be very interesting for Polish companies. As we know, Italian companies are well known for their ability to export products inside European Union and outside European Union. So the first question that comes to my mind is, how does an Italian company prepare to start their export activity in the European Union and outside the European Union? Is there any difference? You mentioned at the very beginning that what is very important is market analysis. Do you also see some other factors that are important in case of preparing for export activities?
Yeah, sure. The market analysis, let me say, is the first step to begin an adventure abroad. There are many steps to be followed, because one negative aspect, unfortunately, that the Italian company has to face when they work abroad is the Italian bureaucratic situation in terms of system and the fiscal situation in terms of system. So, for instance, if you're talking about export work to external of the UAE, they have been informed about all the, for instance, the certificate of origin of the goods. That must be, they must respect the law strictly, especially for the preferential origin of the goods. So must be prepared in terms of all the what we call, generally talking, bureaucratical aspect, but they are very important aspect, because the law are very severe in terms of the company that not follow this kind of rules. So I think if that in terms of practical aspect for a European company that want to work abroad, EU, so Italian or any kind, must be market analysis, very important to know of the rules in exporting outside the EU, because it's completely different. The third is to understand some aspects that so far were not so much important, but after COVID, even before, in my opinion, but after COVID are more evident, that are the cultural aspect of the country outside EU. Because if I talk with a Poland person, German one, French one, of course we have some differences because of our history or our culture, but generally talking, we are part of a continent, so we have. It's easy to understand more or less the mentality of the person we are talking with. If a company want to go outside the EU, the mentality can be completely different. It's funny to take note, for instance, when I work with the Indian person, then say no, shaking the head exactly as we shake the head to say yes. So, for instance, when I talk with the person and they say no with the head, they are telling yes. So it's a very small thing. I know it's not the most important one, but to understand that the cultural aspect, the traditional aspect, the respect is really important in international deals. I say so because the Italian customer, the Italian companies, unfortunately, um, are not so used to, they don't used to expect this kind of approach. They are extremely elastic, okay? They are extremely empathic because we are
Mhm.
Mediterranean, so we are empathic, let me say. But sometimes many customers think to be superior to many people outside the EU. If we're talking about the Arabic Peninsula, we are talking about sometimes some companies got to be in front of a person that has not so much experience in terms of deals, in terms of business, in terms of job. But it's not true because in that area, especially in the Arabic area, the GCC area, or UAE especially, all the world come there because we have a lot of money. So we have to face people extremely experienced. So to be practical in this kind of very short approach in terms of time, but I would like to be practical. I think the first is financial aspect. The second is to be prepared in terms of fiscal, bureaucratical, practical aspect of the sales job. The third is study a lot the mentality of the abroad market. The fourth is to have a clear idea of his own product and his own solution. In Italy, for instance, we know that the Italian quality is very well known, or it's usually appreciated, but usually is appreciated. The customer must be sure about that he's about the quality of his product, quality and cost of his product. So sometimes happen that some customers are too much focused on technical aspect of their product, telling me we have the best solution. Maybe it's true, the best solution, the best mechanical aspect, a lot of particular more than the competitors, but the market requirement maybe are not interested to this kind of plus that for us are fundamental. So it's completely different the mind that's necessary to have to approach a market outside Europe than internal Europe. I think it's not so secondary aspect because the all the deal is made by conversation or approach with human being. So it's really important to have this kind of mindset to be to have possibility to have success abroad UA.
So talking about export activities, we can say that Italian exporters, we all know that Italian exporters, like Polish exporters, are strongly linked to the European Union market. Uh, my question is, having in mind all the recommendations you have just told us, as we are thinking about entering a new market, what are the most promising export directions for small and medium-sized companies in Europe and outside Europe, in your opinion?
We consider PMI a company that's has got from zero up to 250 employees and a turnover up to 50 million euro. This is the average of the size of a PMI in Italy, and our country, for instance, is made by 70-80% by this kind of company. And of course, generally talking, any PMI, I work with the PMI since 25 years, and they have some positive aspects and negative aspects in facing a broad market. The extremely positive aspect is that usually usually, generally talking, in this very quick analysis, usually is extremely elastic. So you can personalize the offer better than a multinational or a big company that is present in some market. Usually in the PMI, the quality of the product is higher, is better than a multinational. Of course, again, I'm talking in a generalistic way. But the PMI have got a lot of plus in comparison with the, let me say, general multinational. Of course, they have some minus as well. Of course, in terms of financial aspect, the PMI has got more trouble than a big organization. The costs, of course, it's one of the worst voids for any PMI. But if the PMI work in a very good way in terms of, again, analysis, let me say, target of his action, his efforts, it's possible to achieve very big results, especially abroad. Why I said so? Now, in my one part of my activity is to work with some Italian PMI abroad. And one thing that I noticed that the customer abroad, for one company, we are specialized in the Arabic area. For another company, we work abroad without limit in terms of geographical aspect. The possibility to work with the personalized project, with the total, let me say, a turnkey project, personalized and tailored for the customer, is one of the biggest plus that they have got, especially in this period. Especially after the COVID, the customer need to spend less that's possible. Of course, even before the COVID, but after the COVID is even more important. So the customer, the company, the end user, the broad customer need to spend less, but not less in terms of absolute value, but having to spend the right quantity of money to have the best service. And I think the PMI is has got any PMI, any European PMI has got more instruments to be able to answer better to the customer in comparison with a multinational. I worked in my unfortunately long career in a multinational as well, and the procedure internal of the multinational are extremely more complicated than a PMI. So I think the PMI has not to have fair to go to face a multinational when he talk to a customer, because a lot of time the level of quality of the product, of the solution that the PMI is able to offer is higher than a multinational. So for instance, I give you an example, and in an external and abroad German PMI was able to import in Italy a product. It's a very funny example, but it's very give an idea of the aggressivity of the good mentality of the PMI. Because in Italy, you know that we have a long history and tradition in pasta. No? Spaghetti are known all over the world. And they were able to import in Italy a product that is a noodle, Chinese noodle. For me, for the Italian, up until 2 years ago was impossible to think about, that had a big success, especially on the young people, because this product is a cup of hot water with the top made by noodles. They have only to turn this cup, and they have the noodle already prepared. And they had a big success, even in Italy, in which the tradition and the history in spaghetti is one of the most, like mandolino, no? Is one of the most important voice of our tradition. I mean,
how is it possible?
well, it's possible because this company was a small company, was able to made a lot of very good analysis, and decided to attack the right target of the population. There was the young boys and girls. They study, they work, they move a lot. And to make spaghetti, to make the pasta, needs the pot, the water, all the things that are necessary to make spaghetti. In this way, you have only to shake this cup, and in few seconds you have your noodle. You eat the noodle and make what you want. That is not eat. For me, it's unbelievable. But they had a huge quantity of market in the young people. So I mean, if in the PMI, only a PMI had this kind of fantasy, because the PMI need to be, let me say, to have fantasy to work. Because if I have to work against a multinational, I can't show me like a huge company, because the multinational is bigger than me. But I can have more fantasy, I can be more elastic, I can be extremely more serious, let me say, in term of services. Of course, I don't want to say that the multinational are not serious, of course, but I can offer better service. For instance, in the assistance. Another very short example I can give you. One of the company we are representing in the Arabic area now was able to made a fantastic job in the assistance, technical assistance to a machine that have some problem. In the 24th of December, the night of 24th of December, of course, it's a critical moment for us, because 24 and 25 December is Christmas, but we were able to answer in real time to the problem of the customer that were Muslim, so they were not in holiday or in vacation, and in real time they were able to resolve the problem in about 4 or 5 minutes, in real time, answering immediately at the phone. I know that it's a service that many multinational do, but in this case, the small PMI was able to keep the customer, and thanks to this level of service, was able to obtain other kind of jobs. So the PMI has got a lot of plus in comparison with the other countries, other companies.
Okay, thank you so much for this very wide perspective regarding the small and medium-sized enterprises. And the last question that I would like to ask you is also connected to small and medium-sized enterprises. We all know that exporting within the European Union means much more peace of mind and limited risk. But some of the small and medium-sized companies are looking for further markets. In that context, I would like, having in mind your experience in Arabic countries, I would like to ask you my last question. Do you think that the Arabic countries could be a good export choice for small and medium-sized enterprises?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I work with small and medium companies in that area, and they can be absolutely, and that area can be absolutely interesting area for them for many reasons. The risk in that area, as all around the world, there is a risk when you work with a customer, of course, but is less than other part of Europe. Another part of the world, sorry. Europe has got more risk than the Arabic world for many reasons. One is the mentality, the religion. The second is that any deal is based on payment or in advance or through letter of credit or through instruments that allow to the companies to be safe in terms of credit. The reliability of the company, let me say, is guaranteed by a job with a local partner again. It's really important to work with someone who know the area, who know the companies, the organizations. It's easy to get in touch with the people because in that area, all of them are extremely kind, extremely open. It's not so easy to get in touch with the right counterpart. I mean, uh, it's not always a matter of risk in terms of financing aspect, but of time consuming. Very often you get in touch with people that say, I'm part of the royal family, I know the market perfectly. Any aspect to say, work with me because I am the best. There is no, let me say, a risk in terms of lose of money, to lose money. The risk is to lose a lot of time working with a not right person. And that's the biggest risk we had in these. I'm in that area since more than 10 years. And every week I meet someone who tell me that is part of the royal family. Maybe the royal family might be bigger than the whole planet population, because any person I say, oh, I'm part of the royal family, anyone. But this is a sort of, let me say, of filter. No, if someone begin with me the conversation, say I'm part of the royal family, I'm just on the mind. If I'm not so convinced about, I have to increase the research about this person. But the risk is not so high in terms of financing, because there are extremely strict rules in terms of the movement of the money. So it's, let me say, it's possible to lose money. Of course, it's like in any business, but they check in a very strict way the financing situation of a company. To give you an idea, if a company don't pay the bill for the electricity, or don't pay the bill of the normal cost for the company, or the salary of the employee, the owner of that company can't move outside the company itself. So it's blocked in the airport and it's put in jail directly. So it's a very strict check on the financing aspect of the company, especially after the crisis of that have been in the past in that area. So that's why it's important to have someone that has got people on site that know the situation. It's not a huge risk in terms of money, but it's a risk to lose time and money, to go there a lot of time, losing a lot of time, losing a lot of time talking with the not right person, for instance, not the decision maker, but with the low level of the organization. So that's, I think, the biggest difficulties in that area, because for instance, in Saudi Arabia, I've been there several times, and at the beginning was not easy to understand if the person I had in front of me was the right person to talk with, because for me all of them were exactly the same, because they wear exactly the same dress. They have no difference in terms of way to talk to me. So for me, at the beginning of my experience in that area, was difficult to say this is the right person to talk with. Now I can understand this kind of differences because of their approach, their words, their way to say. So I think the PMI has got the small and medium enterprise as a huge possibility in that country. What they have to do is not to be, I know they don't do in this way, but it's important as I say. So if you ask me, they don't be, let me say, in Italy we say superficial. No? They don't think too much easy the job. Because any person they have in front of has got a huge experience in terms of business. So it's we have to be, the company must be, let me say, care on the experience of the counterpart and be extremely sure about their proposal. It's an open market. There is no sector that I think blocked into the relationship between an Arabic company with a European one. But only to give you an idea, very, very quickly, we talk about UAE, now United Arab Emirates, but in this area, the difference are huge In Dubai, for instance, there is no oil and gas because there is no oil in Dubai. Abu Dhabi has got all the oil. If you go in Sharjah, that is the emirate close to Dubai, it costs 30% less than Dubai, and the people has got extremely poorer than in Dubai. Usually they live in Sharjah and work in Dubai, like two different countries. Or Rakhine Salman, that's the another emirate, that the poorest in generally talking. So even if you're talking about a small geographical area, the difference are huge, and even the approach different. If you talk about your product with an Emirate person, you have to talk in a certain way. If you talk with a Saudi person, you have to talk in another way. If you talk with a Dubai person, you have to talk about in a certain way. If you talk in an Abu Dhabi person, you have to talk in another way. It's really interesting, to be honest, because it's really I like very much this kind of differentiation, but really important to understand that the difference of the person I have in front of me can means I have success or not in my business.
Okay, thank you very much for this very interesting telling us about your interesting experience. I'm pretty sure that we could spend long hours just talking about export activities, export experience, but we wouldn't like to take much more of your time. We'd like to thank you so much for being today with us, and we hope that we will meet once again in future. Thank you for sharing with us your experience in Europe, in Arabic countries, and for your practical recommendation for small and medium-sized enterprises. This is very important because what we should do and what we aim at is to encourage Polish companies, small and medium-sized companies, to look beyond European Union, to look into further markets, just to develop the business activity.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
To you. Thank you to you. I think it's really important, your efforts, because especially after the COVID, even before, but especially after COVID, there are two aspects very important in my opinion, of course. One is that we have to work together, all together. And this is the only one way we have to win working abroad, the UAE. And the second is that create a network of knowledges and professional can be really answer for the small and medium enterprises not against in terrific way, but against the multinational and big companies. So thank you to you to be part. Very happy to be part of this meeting. It was very interesting for me to talk with you as well. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Szanowni Państwo, bardzo dziękujemy za udział w naszym dzisiejszym spotkaniu. Ja pozwolę sobie przypomnieć, że naszym świetnym ekspertem jest pan Giorgio Oggero, który zaprezentował Państwu doświadczenia firm włoskich, zarówno jeżeli chodzi o rynek europejski, jak i dalsze rynki, rynek arabski. Myślę, że to, co powiedział pan Oggero, w dużym skrócie możemy podsumować, że wszystko jest trudne, zanim stanie się proste, ale to nie znaczy, że nie powinniśmy podejmować trudu poszukiwania nowych możliwości eksportowych. I te możliwości eksportowe dla polskich małych i średnich firm są tak naprawdę na całym świecie. To, co jest ważne, to jest właściwe przygotowanie się do takiej działalności eksportowej, na co zwracał uwagę pan Oggero, a więc przede wszystkim market analysis, właściwa analiza rynku, na którym chcemy rozwijać naszą działalność eksportową, poznanie różnic kulturowych, geograficznych, czy nawet różnic pewnych mentalnościowych, o których wspominał pan Oggero, nawet jeżeli chodzi o jeden kraj, co było wyraźnie pokazane na podstawie Włoch. Są to, proszę Państwa, wydawałoby się, że drobne różnice, ale one są bardzo, bardzo ważne, ponieważ pomagają nam właśnie w znalezieniu właściwego partnera. A jak wspomniał pan Oggero, bez takiego partnera, który działa lokalnie, który ma rozeznanie zarówno lokalnych kanałów dystrybucji, jak i stosowanych praktyk biznesu, trudno jest o sukces w działalności eksportowej. Więc ze swojej strony będziemy Państwa zachęcali przede wszystkim w ramach naszej fundacji do korzystania z doświadczeń innych, poszukiwania nowych partnerów, którzy mogą być dla Państwa przewodnikiem na rynkach trzecich. Bardzo serdecznie dziękuję za Państwa dzisiejszy udział i za to, że mogłem się z Państwem spotkać. Bardzo dziękuję Panu Oggero i bardzo dziękuję Michałowi Górskiemu.
Ja też serdecznie dziękuję Panu Oggero i dziękuję bardzo Tobie, Andrzeju. Też wydaje mi się, że dzisiaj mieliśmy okazję spojrzeć na świat handlu z nieco innej perspektywy niż jest naszą codzienną. Dowiedzieliśmy się sporo ciekawych rzeczy o nieco bardziej odległych rynkach i wydaje mi się, że będziemy kontynuowali prezentowanie zarówno rynków europejskich, jak i pozaeuropejskich dla polskich przedsiębiorców, bo warto się dobrze przygotować do misji handlowej, czy też do wyjazdu w podróż biznesową. Tak Pan Oggero, jak i Ty, Andrzej, podkreślaliście to, że trzeba często się skonsultować, więc dzisiaj proponujemy Państwu takie konsultacje i nie kończą się tylko na naszym nagraniu. Ja chciałbym Państwa serdecznie zachęcić do kontaktu, ponieważ po każdym naszym webinarium nasz ekspert pozostaje do Waszej dyspozycji i odpowiada na Wasze indywidualne pytania. Jeżeli coś Państwa zainteresowało, jeżeli chcecie zapytać się o coś więcej, bardziej szczegółowo, proszę uprzejmie o kontakt mailowy. Za chwilę pojawi się plansza z wszystkimi kontaktami, ale ja już teraz przypominam nasz adres mailowy office@progress2020.pl. Jednocześnie przypominam i informuję, że nasze działania są finansowane ze środków Programu Rozwoju Organizacji Obywatelskich na lata 2018-2030 Narodowy Instytut Wolności. Szanowni Państwo, serdecznie dziękuję za Waszą uwagę i zachęcam do śledzenia naszych profili w mediach społecznościowych. Za niedługo kolejne webinaria.